Hello everyone, this is Solomon of Solomonic Demons, and the guitar that you guys have on the screen right now, the guitar that I have here on my guitar bench, it is my Jackson American Virtuoso. We're gonna be restringing this guitar. I'm gonna be using a set of strings from SIT strings, and these are 1046. We're gonna be putting the guitar on E flat. I'm doing this because I want to play a couple of 80s songs, a couple of covers, and I really need a guitar with 24 frets and with Floyd Rose to achieve to play the songs that I want to play. Also, we're gonna be talking about a very interesting topic, a controversial topic, and that it is the fact that these guitars that are supposed to be made here in the United States of America do not actually have any decal or any sticker that says made in USA. The only thing that these guitars have, it is a sticker that it says Corona California. Now, these guitars are built by Fender, and Fender had been putting the Corona California sticker in the guitars that they made in the United States for a couple of years already. With this, as you guys can see, I'm trying to put this piece of cardboard under the Floyd Rose, so it is easier for me to change the strings, because that way when I take out the strings the Floyd doesn't gonna go all the way down. Also, I'm gonna be opening the back plate of the guitar because I'm changing the weight of the strings and I'm changing the tuning of the guitar. Like I said, I'm going to E flat. The guitar right now is on E standard, and once again we're gonna put it on E flat standard. Now, in the case of my American Virtuoso, as you guys can see, this is a dinky model guitar. When these guitars came out last year, I mean, for me, it was something that I was waiting for years, because before this, the only way for me to get made in USA dinky was getting a custom shop, and those guitars were really expensive, or getting a used one from the 90s, but even like that, those guitars were above $2,000 used. And the case of this guitar, when the Virtuoso came out, the price tag of this guitar was $2,000, and for me it was a no-brainer. I bought the guitar. I was really happy with it. I still play it a lot. It is maybe my favorite guitar right now. Spec wise, I do love how the guitar feels, how the guitar is set, and I really think that this is a guitar that I'm gonna keep forever. So, going back to the main topic of this video, to fully understand why the guitars don't say made in USA anymore and why it has changed to Corona California, we gotta actually talk a little bit of the history of Fender, how it has been changing through ownership during the years. And also we gotta talk about the street laws that California imposed on what actually can be stamped as made in USA and what not. So in 1985, Bill Schultz and some investors bought Fender from CBS. One of the most important challenges of the new Fender Musical Instruments Corporation was to build a better Stratocaster. To make sure no one missed the point, the new instrument will be called American Standard and will have a made in USA decal on the headstock. The American Standard Stratocaster was unveiled the January 1987 NAMM show. Since then, other modern US Stratocaster were introduced, and they all sport the same decal. The Plus, the Hot Rodded, the American Deluxe, just to name a few. But after the launch of the American Elite Series in February of 2016, at some point, new decals with the words Corona Cal and Corona California replaced the label of Made in USA. Just a few months later, the American Professional Stratocaster replaced the American Standard, and also the new guitar didn't have the Made in USA decal on the headstock. What was happening? Now, like I said, California have very strict laws, and also laws that are very confusing on what can be stamped, what can be labeled as a made in USA product. In September of 2015, the governor of the state of California, Jerry Brown, signed into a law a bill that changes the landscape of the California Made in USA label requirements by allowing a product to carry a Made in USA label even if a small percentage of the product was foreign made. Now, the Federal Trade Commission instead applied a law that stands that a product in its totality have to be evaluated the role of each component in the finished product, which means that a product might qualify for a Made in USA label even if some of its components were imported. The difference between the federal and the California labeling standard result in a dramatically different label or requirement for the same product. For example, a product with a tiny foreign made screws will have likely meet the FTC Made in USA label standards, but not California. This inconsistency led to confusion, so this is why Fender changed the label from Made in USA to Corona California, because the law was very confusing and they didn't want to get fined. They didn't want to have to recall the guitars, destroy the guitars, and just for something that silly. It was better just to change to Corona California. In fact, the laws have been changing during the years. Recently, in August 13 of 2021, the FTC law changed again. Now it says that Made in USA labeling rule prohibits claims that product was made in the United States unless the final assembly or process of the product occurs in the United States. All significant process that goes into the product occurs in the United States. All or virtually ingredients or components of the product are made and sourced in the United States. For me, the question should be, are these guitars only assembled here in the USA, or Fender built any of the components of this guitar here in the United States, or Fender acquired the components of this guitar from suppliers that built and are located here in the United States, or they just import all the materials from other countries. We gotta remember that Fender not only have a factory here in the USA, they do have factories in China, they do have factories in Japan, they have the factory of Mexico, so they can use or they can build a lot of the materials that they use in these Corona California guitars, or they might be importing all the products using OEM suppliers. One example of materials that they use on their guitars are the tuners. They build these tuners around the world. Taiwan, Japan, Korea, and these are Fender genuine tuners. With the sticker that only says Corona California, they can use these tuners wherever they come from without worrying that they are infringing the law. Now, for the Jackson Virtuoso, there is not too many information about that. There is not too many information about where Fender gets the components for this guitar. But in the case of a Fender Stratocaster, estimated is around that the 50% of the USA Fender is actually imported. The woodworking and assembly are all done in the USA, but many parts are imported from Asia and other countries. So yeah, this guitar for me, the one that is on the table, it is assembled in the USA, that's for sure. Now, I cannot say that it is totally made here in the United States of America, but I can definitely say that this guitar is a great instrument with great craftsmanship and deluxe electronics and components. The same thing with my Fender Stratocaster American Performer. That is also a guitar that it only says Corona California, but is all what I wanted to have on a Fender Stratocaster made in the USA. So remember, your Fender Stratocaster that only says Corona California, it's not really too different compared with the one that was made maybe 5 years before the first Corona California stamped guitar. Perhaps this guitar might be different of a 70s or 80s Fender Stratocaster. Same thing with this guitar. This guitar might not be the same as the 90s Jackson Dinky Professional made in the USA, especially because Jackson wasn't owned by Fender back then, but this guitar is still a great quality instrument, and I'm really glad that we have this line of guitars right now on the market. So I'm gonna finish the fine tuning on this guitar, and this is gonna be all for this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please share, like, and subscribe. Take care and bye.